smoke crack, motherfucker, I sell it.
In the list. And look at this, I mean, doesn't get much bigger than that, does it? Maybe the face of boxing for the last decade. So Canelo Alvarez, the current 168-pound king.
Welcome back, y'all. This is the Miscellaneous Minds Podcast. I'm your host, Jesus Dinero, here with my co-host,
Puma El Gato.
What do we got going on tonight, my man?
Canelo's 3-fight contract is off. It's now been upgraded to a 4-fight contract. Let's talk about it.
Listen, my man, in a very late Saturday, early Sunday morning deal, Canelo and Turki Al-Sheikh have come to a deal for a 4-fight contract for Riyadh season. And there's been a couple of fights already announced, essentially. One was Canelo's going to fight either a Charlo, a William Skull. Eubanks is on the table, apparently, for May. Followed by, in September, the fight that a lot of people have been asking for in Terrence Crawford. And then those two other fights in May of 2026 and October, I hear, of 2026 to be announced. But listen, there's a number of reasons why this is a great thing and a hilarious thing. One is, I guess there was also talks of Jake Paul potentially securing a fight with Canelo, which would have made Jake Paul an insane amount of money, even though he says he's the money man. Which fell apart apparently because as both Canelo and Turki both came out on their socials and said it, we don't fight fake fighters over here. We take real fights. And, of course, as much as he wants to deny it, Jake Paul was a little salty out there. Started going out there that very morning, obviously trolling Canelo, hiring a whole band of mariachis to sit in the background as he did some idiotic dance that he couldn't do appropriately, so on and so forth. And listen, the hilarity of this being switched up, because a number of people commented on it. One person that I'll point out, Demetrius Johnson, came out and said, yo, the fact that the level of trolling that Canelo pulled off on Jake Paul is next level, and he gave him his props for it. And I couldn't agree with DJ more than ever before. Because the fact that Canelo trolled Jake Paul this hard is hilarious. The fact that Jake Paul was thinking this man was going to secure a bag is hilarious. The fact that Jake Paul thought he stood a chance when he couldn't be Tommy Fury, mind you, who had, I think at the time had like 8 or 9 fights against all bums. The fact that you couldn't be that low level of fighter, but you were thinking you were going to be an undisputed champion in Canelo, is hilarious. Let's be honest. Let's keep it a buck here. The only reason Jake Paul wants that fight is for I guess there's more than one reason. There's 2 reasons. One, the money, of course. And the second one is it would be some prestige. If Jake Paul could pull one swift or good-looking move against Canelo, he would stay on that. Look, this shows I have great skills. I was able to do one phenomenal thing, one great thing, one slightly good-looking thing, one above-average thing. Even if he lost. That's all he would tout. Did you see that hook I landed on him? Did you see that uppercut? Did you see how fast I got on my bike? Whatever it is, he would shift it in some way, because that's all these people are. Is they're all talk, no substance. And listen, I will be the first to admit, man, that Jake Paul has made a phenomenal amount of money with just talking. He's a great salesman. But as far as a fighter, again, he couldn't even beat a Tommy Fury. All the other fights that he's won, who have they been against? Basketball player, retired MMA fighters, and a extremely old, far past his prime Mike Tyson. And listen, there was a small part of me that was wanting this fight to be real between Canelo and Jake Paul, despite the fact that it was going to essentially hand Jake Paul a whole bunch of credibility that he didn't deserve. It's just because we all wanted to see a little bit of revenge gotten from Mike Tyson. But I'd much rather him get trolled, and I'd much rather see Canelo get his bag from Turki Al-Sheikh. And now we have it. Again, more than likely what's going to happen is, I personally think, even though a number of people have been touted, Charlo, Eubanks Jr., William Skull, I think what's going to happen is Canelo's going to fight to get back the IBF title that he lost because he was stripped, because he didn't want to face it. I believe it's a William Skull. Instead of fighting some of the bigger fights that he eventually ended up taking, I think he's going to face William Skull to get his IBF title back, making him 2 times undisputed. And then at that point, he's going to face a Terrence Crawford. Because Terrence Crawford said it himself. Hey, man, I'm looking forward to he said, good luck, Canelo. I'm looking forward to becoming a 3-way undisputed champion. So, that being said, that's what I believe the more likely plan is. Canelo's going to look to become 2 times undisputed at 168. Then at that point, he's going to face a Terrence Crawford in September. For the undisputed titles at 168. We'll see how that goes. And then obviously he'll have his 2 bouts next year And if I'm being honest, I think sometime, if not at that year, maybe the year after, I think Canelo's going to say, hey, man, I'm going to take my winnings and go home. So it was interesting. It was laughable. It was hilarious to see what happened to Jake Paul. It was also good to see him and Turki Al-Sheikh come to an agreement. A 4-fight deal is a good deal, let's be honest. More than likely, he broke the bank. I know Turki Al-Sheikh was competing with Netflix to see if they could lock down a Canelo fight, and the fact that he did. Turki Al-Sheikh went on a little bit of a bragging streak. You know, he started talking about, don't mess with the lion. Lions don't care about the opinions of sheep, so on and so forth. So eventually, he was bragging about being able to beat out a major network like Netflix. And hey, let's be honest, shout out to him. He did his thing. He got the fight that he wanted. He got 4 fights that he wanted, actually. So shout out to him. I'm sure it's going to be good fights moving forward for Canelo. Man secured the bag, and we'll see how it goes. I wouldn't put it, I know a lot of people are saying I'm tripping. I wouldn't put it past maybe the last fight of that 4-fight deal to be against the man that everybody's been asking for. I'm not going to hold my breath, but let's keep it honest. It would be a major payday on his potentially way out. What do you think about that, my man?
Man, when I tell you the timeline for these contract negotiations had everybody in a tailspin, because I think the entire thing transpired all in the matter of a day, because I think ESPN had to report on 3 different stories regarding the entire thing. Again, the original contract negotiations was for 3 fights, and then I think it was as of Saturday night, I think the morning or early afternoon of, they basically said, oh yeah, the fight contracts through Canelo and Crawford isn't happening. And then a little bit after that, I don't know if it was official or if Canelo was talking with Jake Paul's people, or I guess talking with them in bad faith, trying to troll him, whatever. Then we started hearing a whole bunch of sources saying, "Oh, now it's Canelo and Jake Paul that's going to be happening." I think it was either September or the May fight. I was like, "Oh yeah, now it's for sure Canelo is fighting Jake Paul," which had a lot of mixed reactions. One of them was, cool, get revenge for Mike Tyson. And 2, oh, of course Canelo's ducking Crawford. Of course this is going to happen. It was like, Canelo's just going to be chasing that bag. All this. And it turns out that Jake Paul fight, that's gone. Now it's a 4-fight contract, and Canelo and Crawford is going to happen in September. And now people are like, oh, thank God. Thank God, no more Jake Paul. Cool. Fine. Which, again, Jake Paul's crashing it out a little bit hard, considering that the only person that's wanting a Jake Paul fight against Canelo is Jake Paul himself. I doubt anybody really wanted to see that fight. And even Andy Ruiz was like, all right, I'm willing to step in if Canelo is not. If you guys don't want to see that fight, I was like, I'll take on that fight. Which, bless Andy Ruiz, I'm more power to that man. But you are absolutely right. You did mention William Skoll. I actually just saw on ESPN. I think they reported about an hour ago. He actually is Canelo actually is set to face William Skoll for the IBF title in May 3rd, and then the Crawford fight is again going to happen later that year in September. And again, more power to him. Again, William Skoll, at the very least, does deserve it. And again, he's 23-0, and I think he's at the top of the game. I think he's at the top of the field for the IBF ranking, and he should get his fair.
He was a mandatory.
Yeah, he was the mandatory. Again, he deserves his fair shot at the very least for IBF title. Yeah, it does seem like it's pretty much worth it. And again, for IBF, they're pretty much restricted when it comes to fight calendar and fight dockets. So yeah, it was bound to happen. At the very least, William Skoll at least kind of deserves it.
He's about to get it back. Too.
But yeah, and in the grand scheme of things, I think everybody is happier. And again, the one man that's winning out on all of this for sure. Canelo Alvarez, from securing a 3-fight deal to trolling Jake Paul to getting a 4-fight deal and getting Crawford on the docket. You can't be mad at Canelo Alvarez at the end of the day for the events that transpired on one day, mind you. On one day, he managed to do all of this, get a bigger bag, and troll Jake Paul, the menace of the boxing society, in one fell swoop. You can't be mad at the man for that.
Listen, man, if I'm being honest with you, if you look at, because of what you just said a second ago, because there was talks between, obviously, Jake Paul and Canelo, obviously that would be Netflix, and Turki Al-Sheikh and Riyadh season, because I did see, like you said, on Saturday, I believe Saturday morning, Saturday afternoon, where I guess the talks are broken down. Everybody was saying, oh, fight between him and Terence Crawford is off, so on and so forth. Then later on at night, in the morning, we got this reveal. It goes to show you, whether people want to admit this or not, whether they like it or not, Canelo pulled off a coup. Because here's the thing. Think about that. if we got if everybody was getting reports that fight was off, that Terrence Crawford fight, the 3-fight deal was off, all that stuff was off. If all that is true, which a lot of people, a lot of reputable people were reporting on, and then we come to this deal where he now has a 4-fight deal with Turki Al-Sheikh, you know that he broke the bank. You know he broke the bank. I'm sure there's an insane amount back for each one of those fights. It'll be interesting. I'm hoping we get to hear a little bit more about the details over the next coming weeks. But either way, I'm sure it's a phenomenal deal for Canelo Alvarez. I'm sure Terrence Crawford, as he deserves, is going to get a phenomenal bag. William Skull's about to come into a bag. And then whoever he faces for those last two is going to come into a bag. It's going to be an interesting show moving forward. We're definitely going to keep tuned, keep you guys tuned and up to date with what's going on. It'll be interesting to see what happens, man. I'm here for it. Shout out Turki Al-Sheikh. Shout out Canelo. And let's go, baby. Let's go. And with that, make sure to like, comment, hate, subscribe, DM us about the bullshit, and
Until next time, get rest and stay blessed. We'll see you in the next one.